All right, YouTube. What up, beautiful people? We are live. What up, what up? Say hello in the chat. Let me know you're there. Let's see if my cameras will work with Facebook today. I'm a little drowsy today, guys, to be honest. I worked a lot through the night last night, just getting a lot of stuff done. Lots in the works right now. I've been talking to a very famous intellectual scientist about doing a world tour where I would be appearing on stage with them. We'd be on stage together talking about science and black holes mostly. But of course, I would be the country bumpkin sitting up there with the extremely knowledgeable scientists asking some questions, engaging with online audiences as well as the audiences. Intellectual scientists about doing a
I gotta turn
world
this off.
tour. Also engaging with the audience live in the venues that we would be going to. So there's just so much in the works right now. Who do we got tonight? Keith Connolly couldn't make it. Andrew Thopill, welcome back. Welcome back, Mank Deems. Welcome, Renba. Welcome, Pornography123, if that's your real name. I guess I'll let Twitter know that I'm live. See if we can get any of those really juicy Twitter people to come over here. I am tired. I don't get tired often, but today I am tired. I'm live. Okay. Tweet that. See if my Facebook cam's working. No, that's not going to work. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you guys all for coming. Make sure you guys like this stream. Hit the like button. You know you want to. Hit the like button, and I will take off all my clothes. No, I won't. You don't want to see that. Yeah, I didn't advertise this stream very much, so we'll probably have a small crowd tonight. No biggie. We're going to be starting the Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris, with Douglas Murray in the middle. This is the final event number 4, in London. This was huge. This took place at the O2 Arena in London. Very famous venue. Yeah, make sure you guys hit that like button. Do it. Duncan D's, welcome back. Welcome back, Duncan D's. There's been very few fuckweasels lately. For those of you who don't know, fuckweasels are people who just lie and spread defamatory bullshit. Yeah, most of them have ran away. What do we got going here? Mank Deems, what did you have for us right off the bat here? To keep calling out Keith Connolly. Don't be a dweeb, Keith. Show up to your interview stoned and tell them you were watching Pangburn live, and that's why you're late. And when they ask you why you're stoned, tell them to mind their own business. They'll see how alpha you are and probably triple the original salary offer. I'm going to have to go with Mank Deems on this. I think Keith should be here. It's going to be his best opportunity to make the big bucks. Pornography123 says, finally someone calls me by my birth name. Awesome. Uh, what else we got? Reporting in. Andrew Tholpil says we're all already naked. Travis, join the club. Yeah, well the difference is the camera's on me, bro. I'm good. It's getting cold up in Canada. Duncan D says I disagree with literally everyone, but the chat is too interesting. You're a real trooper. All right. What else we got? Most of you know this, but I will be announcing a very, very big event soon. So excited. I've been wanting to do this event for so long, and it's all locked in now. Venue contract is signed. Both the speakers' contracts are signed. If you guys have any guesses, just guess in the comment section. Who do you think will be in my first event for 2020? Duncan D says, "What's the story behind the clock behind you?" It's all part of the Pangburn equation. It all fits together in some way. No, it doesn't. The story is I need to buy a battery for that thing, but I really like the clock. Kilgore 25, welcome. Wow, I just rewatched all 4 debates today and yesterday. Quite the coincidence. Andrew Tholfill with the big guess. R. Kelly and Kanye West. What would they talk about? Someone come up with a good joke here. I'm too tired. Something to do with peeing on girls and cashing in on the tax-free Jesus thing. Puff Daddy and Kanye. You guys are nowhere near right. 2 intellectuals on stage, head to head. It's going to be awesome. Do I announce the city? No, I won't announce the city yet. We'll be announcing soon. It's probably going to get leaked before I even announce it, but Mank Deem says some pee joke. Chris DeMarco says, "Hey, you see my comments on your Facebook posts?" Yes, Chris DeMarco, I've seen your comments. Things have been a bit backed up, so not like my digestive system, but like other things are backed up. It's gonna be dad jokes all night, and I'm not even a dad. We got 4 minutes before we're gonna start this stream. Who else is there? Say hi. Make sure you like this stream, guys. Only 6 of you have liked it so far. Get the fuck with it. Just kidding. If you don't want to like it and you'll just like it, like maybe in 5 minutes or something, that's fine too. Andrew Thelpo says, Pangburn, but in all seriousness, did you see where Matt Dillahunty challenged Kanye to a debate? That'd be cool if you could set that up. I actually, if you head over to Twitter, I'll give you guys the Twitter link. I actually tweeted this out and Matt retweeted it, and it actually got a lot of attention. We were chatting and Matt was like, "Can you imagine?" He's like, "Can you imagine if I was to debate Kanye?" And then right away I just went to Twitter and I tweeted it out and he retweeted me. I'll give you guys the link. Follow me on Twitter, guys, at the Pangburn. If you follow me, I'll follow you back. If I don't follow you back right away, then fucking bug me about it. Send me a tweet. I'm at the Pangburn on Twitter. There's the Twitter link. Check that out. Like the stream, love the stream. You know you guys want to like that stream. Looks like people are coming to hang out. Martin Cooper says, "Why do you only have a tattoo on your left hand?" Uh, it's not on my hand; it's on my arm. But I got inner arm. What are we looking at? My inner arm. I got my piano here because I'm a piano player. I'll play piano for you guys one night on here. Then I got my anchor and the black hole right in the middle, and I got space here and the Milky Way up here. But that's just as far as I've gotten so far. Uh, and then I have a giant picture of Richard Dawkins tattooed on my ass. No, that's not true. But none of you would know if that's true. What are we at? 1 minute to go, and we're going to get started on the final event, and then we're going to be moving on to the next live stream watch party event. Which one do you guys want? Which one do you guys want me to do next? Let me know in the comments section. Let's say whatever Pangburn event gets the most votes, we'll do that one next. Whatever you guys think. If you guys aren't familiar with the events that are up for grabs, just go to youtube.com/Pangburn to the live events playlist, and then you'll see all the live events. And make your vote, and your vote will be taken seriously. Andrew Thophill with the question, who's the best atheist philosopher in your opinion? Travis? Well, that is a tough one. If we're talking, there are some scientists that are atheist scientists that are philosophers as well, but they hate the label of philosopher. But it's hard to beat it's hard to beat Dawkins, because Dawkins has really, I think, improved the world beyond what any other atheist has done, like ideologically and eradicating dogma and things like that. I think his books have been the most influential. Martin Cooper says, would you put a huge tattoo of Matt Dillahunty with his Coke Zero on your butt? Yeah. Funny thing about that is I've put in requests to Coke. Like, I've just sent, obviously they're not going to respond, but I'm like, I got this big, sexy, actually not so big anymore. So, but back then I was like, I got this big, sexy, Texan from Texan atheist from Austin. That would be the perfect poster boy for Coke Zero. It's like, can you imagine if they actually went for it? It's like they have Matt just absolutely poning somebody on stage about the existence of God, and then they just cut to Matt's face and he just looks over at the camera and sips his Coke Zero. This is the world I want to live in, where that is possible. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to skeptics, it's hard to beat Shermer. It's hard to beat Matt Dillahunty. I mean, I consider Matt Dillahunty, as far as the whole package when it comes to skepticism and, presentability and the way just the hardware works when he's live on stage. Matt Dillahunty is hard to beat, I would say. But yeah, let me know which. We'll do this again before this stream's over, but let me know which event you guys want to see next for the live stream and watch party. And let me know if you guys are also, if these times work for you, or if these times are like a little too early, a little too late. These times are pretty good for me in general, but I want to work with you guys as well to try to help make it easier. Okay, let's get started. Oh, new website. Check out the new website. I haven't really published it on social media yet. Still a few kinks. Pangburn. .com. So it's pang-burn.com now. I couldn't get Pangburn altogether. The people that do own that domain want a stupid amount of money for it, and I was like, fuck it. I like Pang-Burn. It because a lot of time when you say Pangburn together, people are like, Pangrum? What? Or Pangbum? Yeah. See, my jokes are going to be all dad jokes tonight. I don't have jokes. Who am I kidding? Okay, let's get rocking. Again, follow me on Twitter. Get over to Facebook if you're not at Pangburn Inspire on Facebook. Everything that we are connected to is on the website, so going there is a good help. That'll connect you with everything. Like this stream, guys. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Please, please, please hit the like button. And we will get moving here. All right, here we go. The conclusion for at least this string of events, perhaps to be continued, of Jordan Peterson versus Sam Harris with, of course, the amazing Douglas Murray in the middle. Enjoy, everybody. This was by far the most, well, actually, was it? Yeah, I think this was by far the most expensive event I've ever produced. I think the attendance was about, it was close to 7,000, I believe, just going off the top of my head. And the last video we watched was 8,500 in Dublin. So Dublin, Ireland beat London, England, which was... See, when you try to predict things in the live event world, right when you think you got it nailed, don't ever believe that. It's like, this is why it's such a risky business. It's insanely risky. But this event cost a buttload of money. It would make you poop your pants if you knew. I'm not going to get into it. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's crazy. Yeah, this event, for me on my side as a producer, lost a fair chunk of money. And yeah, but the speakers did very well. The speakers did very well on this event. So it was successful for everyone in the venue, except for on my end, it wasn't really. It was just so big of an undertaking. We really had to hit like, yeah, we were. I believe we had to hit like that 8,500 mark. So we were off the mark for sure of what we thought we were going to be able to sell in London, because it's just such a big place. And the last times we'd been to London, like Dawkins sells incredibly well in London, but still, I mean, close to 7,000, I believe it was. It was pretty amazing. And let me know if you guys have any questions about how these events come together. All the technical aspects to them, or any questions you have about them. Happy to answer.
Well, good evening, London.
Isn't that crazy? Like the cavernous sound that just came out of like that arena is massive. Like, and it's still, even with 7,000 people, it still felt like it was kind of filled up. So, which was nice.
2 weeks ago, Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson met in person for the first time on stage in Vancouver. 2 nights ago, the three of us got together for the first time in Dublin, and it's a huge thrill for all of us to now be here with you in the O2.
Yeah, I'll try cranking my voice.
As I said to Travis when these events were planned, I'm not moderate enough to be a moderator, but I'm going to do a little bit of fielding to begin with. So let me start by saying a little of some of the ground.
That is true. When I did have my first conversation with Douglas about it, he's like, yeah, I'm not used to being like the moderator. And I was like, well, I didn't bill you as the moderator. I want you to be just an extra voice on stage for this one. And where it was a bit different, where Brett Weinstein was billed as a moderator. I brought him in for that specific purpose. But I wanted to have the English influence when we were overseas of Douglas. And Jordan and Sam agreed with me, and yeah, that's how that came to be. And I really wanted an opportunity to give um, Douglas a big venue like this. And I think this was big for him. It really, I think it boosted him up. It boosted his profile. And so happy to do that because I think he's a very important voice, not just around the world, but specifically over in the UK.
We are going to be trying to cover here tonight. We're going to be dealing with the conflict.
Just a quick one. Louise Hopgood made an observation. I'm surprised you lost money. Common perception is that everyone involved in Peterson's rise is laughing all the way to the bank. Well, it's not like the live event world. This is why a lot of people don't get into this business, because once speakers, at least the way things have traditionally worked, speakers at this level are making such large amounts of money, such large amounts of money, and that combined with the cost of trying to do something huge in this venue, obviously this event would have done killer if I wouldn't have been doing if I wouldn't have picked this massive venue. But I took a chance on it, and obviously the chance didn't work out from a financial perspective. But I don't have any regrets at all with trying to go big like this and trying and showing the world that, yeah, we can. Even though live event promotion is, a lot of it's about losing money anyway all the time, but I wanted to go big with this, and I still think we made a big presence and sent a big message that we can do events. Even though I lost money on it, we can do events on big stages like this. And I think as we move into this era, and we're obviously in it to some degree right now, but we just don't know what degree yet, or what level, or what stage. This era of social extremism, I think the next step after that is this wave of skepticism, this wave of knowledge and critical thinking, and the next enlightenment. And that's what I see coming. And I think when that happens, selling out a venue like this is no problem. But I think I want to be the guy to try and trailblaze and try new things and push the limits of what can be done when it comes to live debate and live speaking like this. And for those of you who don't know, after I closed or had to close Pangburn Philosophy, and I came back with Pangburn rebranded, I have added some new policies, and I'm trying to change the live speaking game, at least for anyone that wants to work with me, so that I eliminate the possibility of like cancellations and staff having any kind of ability to fuck something up royally, or like the mismanagement of cash or anything like that. My new model protects against all of that. So and I am going at this 100% solo, just working with venue contractors. So that's kind of the new model moving forward. And if you guys want to see more details about that, I have a pinned tweet on the on my Twitter, and that just outlines what the next chapter here is. So, but yeah, again, I'm looking forward to it. I'm planning so many different things, projects right now, live events with different intellectuals and scientists. And please keep giving me your suggestions or ideas of events you would like to see, because I really do listen to you guys. So thank you.
Between science and reason, we're going to be addressing the legitimacy. Did I say science and reason?
Science and reason, yes.
That's
Occasionally there is.
We're not addressing that.
Yeah.
Douglas's big moment, and he fucks it up. No, he did great.
We're going to be looking at the legitimacy of holding on to religion in any form, And we are also going to be addressing the fact that we need to hide in a sports stadium to address serious issues. But I think to begin with, I'm going to hand over to Sam, and he's going to kick us off properly.
Sure. Well, thank you. And first, thank you all for coming out. You really can't imagine how humbling this is to be here with you. You really should just take a moment to appreciate this from our side, because Justin Bieber is not coming out to sing in the middle of this, as amusing as that would be. And though we put a date like this on the calendar with apparent confidence, there's really no guarantee that you guys are going to show up, and we will never take this for granted. So it's really an immense privilege to be here with you.
Yeah, that was it was overbearing, and like it was just a crazy time at that time. And one day I will write a more detailed book of what those days were like and what was going on with my staff and everything. But it was it was just a crazy time.
So I thought I could start by first acknowledging how fun this has been to have these series of dialogues with Jordan. Now this is the fourth event we've done, and the second with Douglas. And we clearly share a common project. I mean,
one other note, you guys, I'll try to stop interrupting, but if there's this really cool photo that I have as my my banner photo on Twitter, where I'm pointing to Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson. It's basically a big billboard where Sam, Jordan, and Douglas are up there. And yeah, there's a few very famous rock and roll superstars there with them, and that's kind of the level I want to see intellectualism at, and the basically the popularity of thinking and critically thinking and being skeptical.
We are trying to figure out how to live the best lives possible, both individually and collectively, and we're trying to figure out how to build societies that safeguard that opportunity for as many people as possible. And I think we each have a sense that ideas are really the prime movers here. That it's not that the world is filled with bad people doing bad things, because that's what bad people do, though there's some of that. It is mostly that so much of humanity is living under the sway of bad ideas, and it's bad ideas that can cause good people, or at least totally normal people like ourselves, to do bad things, all the while trying to live the best possible lives. And that really is the tragedy of our circumstance, that we can be that confused. So this is where the difference between Jordan and me in particular opens up, which is, how do you view religion in this contest between good ideas and bad ideas? And for me, religion emphatically gets placed on the side of bad and old and worth retiring ideas, or ideas worth retiring. And I guess by analogy, I would ask you to consider astrology. Right now, maybe I can just get a sense of who I'm talking to. What percentage of you, I want to know, believe in astrology, which is to say, who among you, and you can signal this by applause or howls of enthusiasm, what percentage of you, let me just spell it out so you know what you're committing to, and you know how crazy your neighbor is, in fact. What percentage of you believe that human personalities and human events and the difference between good and bad luck in a human life is the result of what the planets are doing against the background of stars? Let's hear it. Somebody out there. Okay, so now you should know that something like 25% of your neighbors believe that. Oh, there you go. So I'm here. Wait. I'm hearing a heckler among the astrologers. Is that possible? This is the first astrological heckler I've heard. You must be an Aries, sir.
Awesome.
So
I do have to say this, like there are few. Sam Harris is a fucking sharp dude. Like if you're sitting around a dinner table and like there's an opportunity to absolutely like just burn the hell out of someone with just a short line, the way Sam delivers it, he's just like he is one slick motherfucker.
It won't surprise you. I have a related question, which is what
There's
what
still a heckler.
percentage of you, I want to know, are religious? Which is to say, who among you believe in God, a personal God, a God that can hear prayers, a God that can take an interest in the lives of human beings and occasionally enforce good outcomes versus bad outcomes? Who among you, and now again, I want to hear applause or silence, believe in that sort of God?
Okay, fair amount of personal God
Okay,
believers.
so this is my concern. This is my concern with what Jordan has been saying and writing lo these many months. I feel that you're in danger of misleading this second group of people. That the way you talk about God has convinced and will continue to convince some percentage of humanity that it's fine to hold on to this old sort of God, this God that can hear prayers and that can intervene or not in the lives of human beings. And as we've begun to explore, I think there are a lot of problems with that kind of belief. If nothing else, there are many such gods on offer, and devotion to them becomes irreconcilable among true believers. And my concern is that you could do exactly what you do with religion with astrology, right? It would be no more legitimate to obfuscate the boundary between clear thinking and superstition there, because this traditional God and the doctrines that support him are on no firmer ground than astrology is now today. And astrology, you could almost everything you say about religion, it's the fact that it has organized human thinking for thousands of years, that it's a cultural universal, that every group of people has given rise to some form of it, that it has archetypal significance, that has powerful stories. All of that can be said about astrology, and in fact, some additional things can be said about astrology that would argue in its favor. For instance, astrology is profoundly egalitarian. There's no bad zodiac sign. Whoever you are, everyone's got a great zodiac sign, and it's just an inconvenient fact of the discipline that if I read you Charles Manson's horoscope, 95% of the audience would find it relevant.
Yeah, I think the whole horoscope thing is just, I think most people see it as a very unharmful way to play house, to play with each other, because I don't think adults play enough. And that's a big part of my life philosophy is you always got to be playing as you're moving through life, or a lot of people fall into substance abuse very easily. I think just to the sheer fact that they're not playing enough. Not everyone, of course, but um, yeah, I think a lot of people view horoscopes and astrology as very harmless.
And that's how easily falsifiable astrology is. But my concern is that we could live in a world where societies are shattered over things like different zodiac interpretations. And we don't live in that world for good reason, because we have beaten astrology into submission. And I would say that religion, in terms of revealed religion and belief in a personal God, is, over the centuries, getting the same treatment by science and rationality, and should be. And it is a perverse circumstance that we live in a world that is shattered by religion. Yeah.
All right, that was Sam's opening. What did you guys think of that? I think he really demonstrated what his problem is with what Jordan does. If you're not offering clarity, if you have as much influence as someone like Jordan has, if you're not offering complete clarity at what you're, I mean, Jordan thinks he's being clear, but being clear to the non-intellectual, um, to the non-thinker, basically. Uh, Sam believes this to be dangerous because it's saying to people, no, actually, look at Jordan. He believes in God too. I can hold on to my belief in this personal God, and the things that come along with believing in this personal God may, in fact, be a dogma that prohibits homosexuality, or prohibits your ability to accept someone if they are homosexual or something like that. So there are obviously some of these ancient religions and myths have some terrible anti-human, anti-scientific nonsense in them that need to be done away with, and that's what Sam is worried about, that this is being prolonged by people like Jordan who aren't specifically going after those who are believing in a personal God and saying, no, 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 you guys are getting this wrong. This is actually a metaphor. This is when I say I believe in that a God exists, I'm talking metaphorically true. I'm not talking like exists like an apple exists or like the stars exist. I'm not talking about God in that way. So Sam's biggest concern is that that's not clear to a lot of people. Let's jump into chat here a little bit. You guys are chatting a lot, so what do we got here? Oh, yes. Let's go to... Someone was like, what was the heckler saying? Louise Hopgood, Sam is constantly monitoring for any errors. It's his hobby. Well, I would say it's his firm grasp on skepticism. People making logical errors. Jeremiah Daniel says, not all philosophy is bad, but I'd argue all religion is. Yeah, I mean, when you start talking about what is bad, basically you have to figure out what is the goal in the greater good that you're trying to achieve. Are you trying to move towards well-being? And yeah, I mean, there are obviously arguments from placebo that can be made in some circumstances where religion can do good for someone's psychological well-being. But as a whole, humanity must move away from anti-science and unreasonable behavior, and religion tends to promote a lot of that in general across the board. Duncan D says, religion is a philosophy. Religion is a philosophy. It can be. It can be. It can be a mode of no, actually, no. Religion is not a philosophy. How would you demonstrate that claim? Well, if you're going to make the claim, Duncan Dees, that religion is a philosophy, let's see if you can demonstrate that and convince us. Louise Hopkins says, if only history were accurate and accessible to all, Jeremiah, perhaps we could have that debate. Andrew Thalpil says, I would actually agree with you with your last comment. Sam seems to be overly sensitive when it comes to criticism. I thought his response to Sam Cedar was very childish and irresponsible. Yeah, I mean, probably my biggest criticism of Sam is how he handles social media and the public. I think he should stay far, far away from it. I think I've been on the receiving end of some unwarranted crap from Sam before when some business between us didn't work out. And I think he should. I have always cautioned him against this, and many of his friends have as well. But he has reduced his social media time. But yeah, I think it's if someone is saying something about Sam, it can be someone that has like 1,000 followers, and they're influencing Sam Harris and the decisions he's making, like the way he's using his mind. And I think this is just a complete waste of time for any big scientist or intellectual to be scrolling through the comment sections and figuring out who's going after them and stuff. So there's that half, but also in defense of Sam with regards to this, there are other very well-known, famous people that are terrible at this as well. So in Sam's defense here, because I've also dealt with this before with myself in my own career, someone will call Sam that's like the most famous scientist Sam knows, and they'll say, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening to you, Sam. I feel so bad. I think you'll bounce back. At least I hope you will." And then Sam will be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He'll be like, "Oh, didn't you see this tweet?" And it'll be from someone with, sure, they have like 400,000 followers or something, and they'll be pretty famous, and they'll be calling out Sam for being like a xenophobe or a racist or something like that. And then Sam will feel like he needs to defend himself to the world or to the social extremist populace that inhabits social media, that he is not in fact a racist, and here's his evidence. It's like, dude, Sam, the burden of proof is not you to prove that you're not a racist, man. It's like, if people are making these claims, please don't adjust your ultimate goals and wasting a bunch of time dealing with these trolls or these people making defamatory claims. Now, if this is hurting Sam's ability to work or to to do the work that he needs to do, yeah, basically to do the work that he needs to do, then is the time to start threatening lawsuits and to start, you know, going after people in the right way. But the social media thing it's it's a hard thing for any person to handle, and it's not like an intellectual is going to be better at handling these social circumstances than the next person. It's like younger people are more attuned to how to operate and survive in a social media world, I think, than any of the older generation people are. So it's I think we just see this because we see more, like, we see more slip ups. I mean, there's slip ups all across the board, but you know what I mean. It's like a lot of us grew up and were at a prime learning age as social media was coming into play, but that's not the same for all of these intellectuals. And like for Richard, talking to Richard Dawkins, he's like, he would just, share things on Twitter that he was interested in, and now he feels he has to be, more cautious because, if he tweets something that was supported by this person, then people are going to get mad at his foundation for it, which my argument, my position would be to build a foundation where you can actually talk about anything that you find interesting, and if people have a problem with it, they can complain about it, but you can say, Richard is a thinking scientific mind that's going to be sharing things and find interest in things that you don't like or that you don't approve of, but that's okay. That's what the war of ideas is all about. But damn, yeah, it's not an easy thing, and I think Sam has made some blatant errors, and I think other people have made errors too. But it's definitely, if someone's to point out a criticism of Sam, that would be the place to go, I think, because if you're going to try and criticize Sam for his line of thinking on anything to do with his fields of study, you're going to have a fuck of a hard time. What else we got here? Red Track says, I don't think Harris does ad hom. He's just very reductionist. Okay. Bert Sperling says, was Jordan on meds here? Uh, I'm not sure. I can't remember, and I know him and I would always talk about mental health stuff, but I don't know. Anyone you come across could be medicated for something. Usually there'd be no way of knowing. Let's see. Duncan D says Sam Harris doesn't realize that scientism is a philosophy. What the hell is scientism? Let's get a definition for scientism. Make sure you guys like the stream here. I see a lot of you have. Thank you very much for that. I'm still going through the chat here. I got a lot of notifications popping up. Things are starting to get very busy on all my channels here. It's awesome. Dinesh D'Souza has retweeted me a few times lately, and he's got about 1 million on Twitter, and that always gives me a nice good boost. Andrew Thopil says, Adrian Gustafici, wouldn't it be more productive to provide a counter argument with without the insults? Yeah, the ad hominem attack, that the counter argument that includes insults uh, appears very weak whenever you do that. There's there's something to be said about having lightness when you're having a conversation with someone where you can joke once in a while, but it should be good faith. It shouldn't just be trying to like smash someone down from an emotional perspective. The conversation should be good faith, honest conversation, and that's not happening if you're just spewing insults. Let's see. I'm not following that conversation you guys are having. There's a lot going on there. All right. Let's see. We're already 45 minutes in. I was planning on just doing an hour today, but I think we'll do an hour and a half. Let's get to some more video here. If I've missed any of your guys' questions that you really wanted answered, just make sure you put at Pangburn in there so I can see them. And if anyone wants to throw a super chat our way, that's always welcome.
So I think what I'll do first is adopt the exceptionally difficult and likely counterproductive position of saying something not so much in defense of religion, but in defense of astrology, knowing...
Jordan just had done his interview with, oh man, what was it? I forget. He had just done an interview before he got to the venue with this host that he just absolutely was. He's just like, that was the most like non-good faith conversation he had ever had. Just someone trying to like trip him up or catch him on something. And I mean, Jordan had been through a lot of that, but I remember him being pretty kind of worn out from that. But man, was he overworked in the past year and a half here. Overworked, too much going on. That stuff will definitely catch up to you if you don't get your... Yeah, I believe Kilgore 25, I believe it was the GQ interview. I was going to say one more thing about Jordan. I can't remember what it was.
Knowing full well that that's fundamentally a fool's errand. But there's something I want to point out is that...
Oh, this is what I was going to talk about. Jordan's voice is very hard to mic. It's got... You obviously, everyone knows, like, people make fun of Jordan for sounding like Kermit the Frog. He's got a really unique tone to his voice. But it is, I've heard from sound engineers that it's very hard to mic properly and get a nice full sound out of.
First of all, astrology was astronomy in its nascent form. And astrology was also science in its nascent form, just like alchemy was chemistry in its nascent form. And so sometimes you have to dream a crazy dream with all of the error that that crazy dream entails, because you have an intuition that there's something there to motivate you to develop the intuition to the point where it actually becomes of genuine practical utility. Now, when we look back on the astrologers and we view their contributions to the history of the world.
Yeah, he has I mean, I used to work as a sound engineer for a few years, right when I got out of university. That's kind of what I was doing, and I had already had some previous experience. And it's, yeah, when you get those real thin voices, because Jordan's voice is very thin, not really full-bodied. So yeah, that's what makes it difficult.
With contempt, we should also remember that the people who built Stonehenge, for example, and the first people who determined that our fates were in part written in the stars, were people whose astrological beliefs were indistinguishable from their astronomical beliefs. And you might think, well, in what sense
So Jordan's making an intent, like what the intent was behind these things, argument, but that's not really what Sam was getting at, right? So let's see where else Jordan goes here.
Is your fate written in the stars? And I would say it's certainly the case insofar as there are such things as cosmic regularities. So it was the dream of astrology that there was some relationship between the movement of the planetary bodies and the fixed stars and human destiny. And that's what drove us to build the first astronomical observatories, and to also determine that there was a proper time for planting and a proper time for harvesting, and a way of orienting yourself in the world, for example, by using the North Star. It's also the poetic ground that enabled us to identify the notion that you could look up and orient yourself towards the heavens, and that there was a metaphorical relationship between that and positioning yourself properly in life. And at a deeper level, the cosmos was the place that the human imaginative drama was externalized and draped itself out into the world as something that was essentially observable, so that we could derive great orienting fictions from the observation of our imagination. And so part of the problem that Sam is pointing to is the difficulty of distinguishing valid poetic impulse from invalid poetic impulse, and that really is a tremendous problem. You see that arise also in people who have religious delusions attendant upon manic depressive disorder or schizophrenia. But so much of what eventually manifests itself as hardcore pragmatic scientific belief has its origin in wild flights of poetic fantasy. And it's also the case, by the way, that that's actually how your brain is organized, as far as I can tell, that when you, and it isn't just me, I actually, there's a very large, what would you call it, research literature outlining the relative functions of the right and left hemisphere, and it certainly appears to be the case that when we encounter something absolutely unknowable or unknown, what we do is drape that unknown thing in fantasy as a first pass approximation to the truth, and then refine that fantasy as a consequence of iterative critical analysis. And so Sam believes...
I have to say this, I just had this funny vision. But Jordan is the type of guy, like, he can talk like that, like how he was just talking, non-stop for hours. Like, I've seen him go from the start of dinner all the way, like, all the way through dinner, all the way on the way to the venue in the limo, all the way till the talk starts on stage, all the way through the talk, all the way through the book signing, all the way talking on the way home, talking at the bar if we stop by for a drink, talking in the elevator on the way up. Like, Jordan, I think if Sam and Douglas were to leave and everyone was to leave the venue and go home, Jordan could still be talking. He's just, it's, and Bert, it's not word salad. Jordan is a thought pretzel thinker, and he is thinking what he is saying with, instead of, him and Sam think very differently, and you can tell by how they deliver. Sam thinks his thoughts through, and it's authored as though it has been written in a book ready to be signed, sealed, delivered, and basically published, like a published work of art when Sam talks. Jordan is different. He's expressing the thought processes and thought pretzels that are going on in his head out loud as they are happening. And I don't think it's word salad. And if you're going to claim it's word salad, you have to pick at certain parts of what he's saying. You have to pick at certain parts of what he's saying and show how it does not fit in the context of what he's talking about. Let's see. Chris DeMarco says, I bet he can talk like that for hours. You can't learn much when all you do is talk. Well, it's not, Chris, it's not all he does is talk. The man is computing at a very fast rate and talking about the things that he's computing, right? You say makes sense when you see how jumbled his philosophy is. It totally is word salad. Look, I will say that I would prefer if a thinker like Jordan could get to a place where he could deliver this stuff in a way, even in his writing, in a way that was more accessible and more clear to the layman or to the average reader. But that's just not the human. That's just not the kind of hardware he has. But that doesn't mean that we can't. That doesn't mean that we can't derive some good information and get some good strong ideas out of a mind like Jordan. So I don't consider it word salad. People who are committing word salad are people who are just throwing big words in sentences that they're creating, and yeah, they're just. Do you know who commits word salad? Is fucking what's his name? Deepak Chopra. There's a guy committing word salad because he's throwing in words in places where they are leading the reader to believe that they actually mean something that they do not mean. I don't. If you can point at an example of Jordan's sentences and how they're structured, of him doing that, by all means, maybe he's done it before, but I don't think that's generally what he's doing. Lewis Hopgood says, excellent observation, Pangburn, about Jordan thinking and speaking in real time. It's mesmerizing even after listening to 100 hours of it. Yeah, I mean, and that doesn't say, like, when a thought pretzel thinker is speaking out loud as they're thinking, not every thought Jordan has is going to be something deeply meaningful, or he thinks like humans think, where some of the stuff we think is going to be just you know, tangent thinking. Like, we can all go off in tangents and get distracted when we're thinking, and Jordan is guilty of that just like anyone else. But Sam is the polar opposite of that, where finding Sam go off in a tangent or get derailed or off track in a third bubble or a thought pretzel or something like that, that's just not the mind that Sam's operating with.
Believes that what should happen is that the poetic and fictional domain should be supplanted by the rational domain.
Let me just.
Chris DeMarco says, okay, fine, Def's doing word salad when he is asked to describe what God is. Yes, exactly. Deepak is the king of word salad. Yeah, so the thing about the God is that it can still not be word salad if he's having difficulty describing something that he finds to be very difficult to describe. So I would challenge you to go through when he's trying to describe what God is, even though because he's not trying to, it's not pseudoscience, because he's not claiming something to exist that could be detected scientifically. He's talking about metaphorical truth. So which is a concept that I on the surface, I'm like, this really isn't that difficult to describe. But Jordan is describing where he gets into the details of it, where you might be hearing what you think is word salad is, and maybe there's some word salad in there. Everyone's gonna do this sometimes, with the exception of very few. But I think for the most part, he is a genuine thinker, and the words and the things he are saying are not trying to mislead anyone. He's actually saying and connecting the dots and connecting the pretzels the way that his mind is computing it. I think there's a big difference between an honest thinker and speaker like Jordan and someone like Deepak Chopra, who's basically trying to speak for a field he doesn't have a fucking clue about, and just whenever he doesn't know the scientific answer or probability of something about astrophysics, he will say, someone will say, but we know the answer to that, Deepak, it's this. He's like, but do we actually know? This is my question. It's like, well, it's reached the level of theory, and there's a lot of supporting evidence and probabilistic equations and things like that to prove it. But Deepak typically has no fucking clue about any of this work that's been done. But yeah, just watch like Sam Harris and Deepak Chopra have a conversation. And I'm not saying, like, yes, Andrew Thopil, you just pointed out that Jordan's language can be a bit overly verbose. I would say it's a lot overly verbose. He doesn't, if you're and that's a good criticism. It's like you don't, when you're a public speaker, or when you're trying to build a self-help book, or trying to speak about your self-help book. It's like you want to make this accessible, right? You don't want to have to be a IQ of 130 or 140 to be able to keep up, and then anyone who's not that just kind of shaking their head like this. Yes, Jordan. Yes, I like those words. It's like in order to understand a lot of the thought pretzeling that Jordan's doing and the stuff he's talking about, it's not very easy. He's not an easy person to understand.
Close the loop there. Not
Okay.
quite. I think we need poetry and fiction, and then there's more to engaging with reality than being a scientist in a white lab coat. But we need to be able to clearly distinguish fact from fantasy, or fact from merely fertile flights of the imagination. And we want to be rigorous there and rational there. And it's not that there's no place for mere creativity that's not
Well, I guess,
on the rails of rationality.
Well, look,
Remember to like the stream, guys. Like that stream. You can do it. Hit the like button. It's very easy.
fair enough then. But I mean, then partly what we are disputing is the relative import and of those two domains. Let's say the poetic and the fictional, and the rational,
and the status of religion now in that.
Well, I have a
dichotomy.
hard time reconciling that to some degree with your more what would you say, formal statements about the problem, because your mechanism, the mechanism that you put forth above all, outside of truth, is rationality. And it isn't clear to me if you're willing to allow the utility of spiritual experience, which you do, and if you're willing to make, what would you say, allowances for the necessity of the poetic imagination, exactly how it is that is also encapsulated under the rubric of pure rationality. See, and here's something, you can tell me what you think about this, and I've been thinking a lot about what Sam and I have been talking about, by the way. So I'm making the case in my writing that democratic institutions not only grew out of the Judeo-Christian substrate, but that they're properly ensconced within that substrate. But I'm also perfectly aware that not every religious or poetic system gives rise to democratic institutions, first, and also that there are Christian substructures, maybe the most obviously in the case of the Russian Orthodox Church,
Right.
where the same metaphysical principles apply, but out of which a democracy did not emerge. And so it does seem to me that what we have in the West is the consequence of the interplay between the fantasy-predicated, poetic Judeo-Christian tradition and the rational critique that was aimed at that by the Enlightenment figures. And that seems to me to mirror something like the proper balance between the right hemisphere and its poetic imagination and the left hemisphere and its critical capacity. And then I would say that part of the way, so one of the questions you brought up was, how do we decide which, let's say, religious intuitions are valid? And I think we do that in part through negotiated agreement, because people have, look, even among the Catholics, say in the medieval time, there was an absolute horror of heresy. So if you were some mendicant monk and you had a profound religious vision, the probability that you were going to be tried as a heretic and burnt at the stake was extremely high, because even the gatekeepers of the religious tradition realized that religious revelation untrammeled by something like community dialogue, something like that, was something of extraordinary danger. And so I would agree with you that the poetic imagination and the ground of religious revelation is something that can lead people dangerously astray. But I would say at the same time that it constitutes the grounds of our initial exploration, and that it's actually ineradicably necessary.
Okay, well, I'll briefly address that, and then I want to ask a question that brings Douglas directly in here. I think this is an instance of what's called the genetic fallacy, the idea that because something emerged the way it did historically, as a matter of historical contingency, it is good. The origin is in fact.
Hey, Ryan Betts, thanks for the question. The Skype ID is there for whenever I do call-ins. I won't be taking any call-ins today, but sometimes at these watch parties, I'll take some call-ins through Skype. I'm just going to grab a book because I am going to be giving away a book tonight. I almost forgot. And it's going to be, drumroll, it is going to be The Strange Death of Europe by Douglas Murray. He is featured on stage in the watch party video tonight. The Strange Death of Europe by Douglas Murray. And a lot of you guys have been giving it really hard in the chat. And I am going to pick a winner. And the winner of tonight's book, The Strange Death of Europe, is Ali Khorrami. That's AliKhorrami. Ali Khorrami. You have won The Strange Death of Europe by Douglas Murray. Immigration, Identity, and Islam. You have won, and to redeem your prize, you just head over to at Pangburn Inspire on Facebook. And that's a big congrats to Ali. Head over to Pangburn Inspire on Facebook and send us a message through the Pangburn page and let us know your address, and we will get this book to you. We'll get it mailed out to you. So congrats to Ali. Right on. Let's see, what are we at? I'll go through the chat again here. Actually, let's do a little more video, then I'll go back through the chat. Everyone give Ali the thumbs up. And remember to like the stream, guys. Like that stream. Sorry, I'm burping a few times in the mic.
Good and worth maintaining, or that it was in fact necessary, that we couldn't get these good things like democracy any other way, or were unlikely to. And I would say that there's no Abrahamic religion that is the best conceivable womb of democracy or anything else we like, science.
That's a great place to get Douglas involved.
Yeah. So, but I would just add one other category of thinking here. We have what we think is factual and methods by which we derive facts. I would put rationality there and an empirical engagement with reality. Then we have other good things in life, like fiction and flights of fancy that are pleasing for one reason or another and could be generative toward the first category. But then we also have, I would acknowledge, and we've spoken about this before, useful fictions and cases, I would hope rare cases where fiction is more adaptive or more useful than the truth, right? That sometimes the truth can be not worth knowing. And I would argue that there are those cases,
okay,
but they're few and far between.
We should focus on that to some degree.
Yeah, so I wanted to point to Douglas here and focus on that, because I think your fear, Douglas, is that my style, or Richard Dawkins' style, or Christopher Hitchens' style of anti-theism, just let's just throw the vicars from the rooftops now, because it is time to end this thing. Not literally. Get off Twitter now, but.
That's a hashtag, if ever I heard one.
Yes. Your concern has been that, and I think Jordan shares this, that so much of what is good in our Western developed societies is, at the very least, maintained by maintaining so-called Judeo-Christian values, or the remnants of our past religiosity, and that there is a baby in the bathwater that can be difficult to discern, and we can't empty the tub all at once, and this is very much because there's a zero-sum contest with the religious enthusiasm we see coming from the Muslim world, and of course the Muslim world is all over the world at the moment. So in that contest between an older style of religiosity and theocracy really, and modernity, you are not as eager as I have been to pull up Western religiosity by the roots.
Or Chuck the Vickers.
Yes.
All right, let me jump over to chat. I think I'll do one more round of chat and I'll call it for the night. Kind of beat tonight, guys, to be honest. I probably should do a bit of editing before bed as well. Let's see. Andrew Thorpil says, I will say that Jordan's ability to generate the appropriate phrases is truly something to be admired. Jeremiah Daniel says, sounds like he's trying to make correlation without causation. He's saying, oh, well, Europe had a lot of Judeo-Christian values and was also shaped by the Enlightenment. Therefore, those values create the West. Yeah, I mean, if you got to have evidence of those values actually making it because of the system it came from, or because they're just good things. Like the golden rule has been around for a long time, and a lot of religions have tried to hijack that as their own, but really it's just worked and been around for a long time because it bloody well works in social species, and it's a part of our evolutionary instinct, or as the way I would put it, our evolutionary pleasure drive. Let's see. Let's see what else we got. Puddington says, Sam thinks you can get a moral framework from just rationality and logic. Moral framework from rationality and logic. You can't. Morals come from values, and you can't get values from rationality or logic. You can get values from building, but from self-reflection and applying skepticism to your pleasure drive of what you value. And that doesn't mean that that's going to be a non-subjective value, but all values are subjective. But Sam's argument for a moral system that we can actually put to the scientific test, if we accept that when we're talking about morality, we are in fact just simply talking about well-being, trying to be well, we can actually build scientific models around many propositions to be able to tell if those are moral or not from a well-being standpoint. And that's the argument that's made in the moral landscape. And I think that's very smart, and I think we actually do that anyway, because it actually does produce better results from a perspective of well-being. Mateo says, any recommendations on a good beginner's book on philosophy? Well, I don't think you need to really, I wouldn't say to go for the books. I would say, YouTube's a free platform. Just start listening to philosophers. All these guys on the Pangburn YouTube channel and women are philosophers. Some of them are called scientists, and they have their specialization in science. But all scientists are engaging with philosophy in one way or another. So if you have an interest in philosophy, go through the videos on our channel, go through other channels, listen to Dan Dennett. You can obviously just Google who some good philosophers are. Dan Dennett is one of them. Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins. I would not necessarily just focus on philosophers. Perhaps the best place to start is making sure that you understand what a solid foundation in skepticism is, because you want to make sure that you're operating with a clean system of skepticism if you're going to start getting into philosophy and you want to become a good thinker. So I would start there and then start moving into some books of interest, but having conversations is a good way to engage in philosophy. And then through those conversations, you'll actually find things that you're interested in, and then you'll start wondering what other people think about those questions. Yes, Ali Karami was the big winner tonight of The Strange Death of Europe by Douglas Murray. Another congrats. You guys are having conversations of facts and values. Chris DeMarco says the genetic naturalistic fallacy is the biggest fallacy Jordan commits in his whole way of thinking. I guess you could. I'm sure you could find some examples. Not. Is he committing the fallacy though? I guess I would have to see the claim of what. I guess you'd have to provide specifics there. But yeah, the naturalistic fallacy is one that really stinks, and it really can find its way into one's thinking if you're not too careful. You find yourself saying things like, "I like the reason why I feel good for going out and walking in the forest is because you're out there with nature and everything's natural around you," and then you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm committing the naturalistic fallacy," when really there is more things going on. A lot of it has to do with escaping your obligations, escaping your the things that you are. I guess obligations is a good way. You get to escape your obligations. You're in the forest. They're not around you anymore. It feels like an escape. In my that's why I do things like go mushroom picking, or I'm gonna go hunting with my brother this year as well, and shoot a bit of a documentary and talk about hunting a little bit, and I think that will be pretty interesting for the channel. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Thanks for chatting. This is great. This will be a bit of a shorter stream tonight, but Ali. The pronunciation of the Ali. Oh, okay. What else we got? Bert Sperling says, at Duncan D's, I don't think you've gone to school. Duncan D's stirring the pot again, eh? You guys are awesome. Okay, where are we at? Remember to like the stream, guys, before you take off for the night. I think we're gonna stop the stream there. Again, I really appreciate you guys coming by tonight, and every night that you guys do stop by. Stay tuned for some big announcements coming up for some events that I'm planning. 2020 is going to be very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to bringing you guys more exciting content. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. I hope you all do. Hit that notification bell. We're releasing new stuff all the time. There's going to be more documentary footage in some of my travels this past year coming out from Alaska and Mexico. What else? Yeah, and come follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you back. Happy to retweet your guys' stuff if you guys are building businesses or trying to build a YouTube channel. Happy to support you guys doing that. And if you want to support Pangburn more, one more plug, head over to patreon.com/Pangburn and become a patron. Would be great to have you. All that money on Patreon goes towards translating our video content on this YouTube channel, and we are translating into Arabic and Spanish first. But anyways, thank you guys, all you guys, for coming by. Kilgore, thank you, first time. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Duncan. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Jeremiah. Ryan, Ali, all you guys, thank you so much. We'll talk soon. I'll stay tuned. We'll do an announcement on all of our social media pages the next time we're going to do a live stream. But let us know which video you would like to me to do next for the watch party, and we will see which one is the next one that we're going to tackle. All right. Thank you guys for stopping by. We'll see you soon, and let art and science inspire.